All right. Gentlemen, let's call this meeting to order.
Agenda sheet.
We have another agenda, copy of the agenda, please. I have a motion to,
Motion to adopt the agenda flexibility.
Second. Can I get another one of those, Corey?
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Oh, that was-
Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
No.
Motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes of the previous meeting in December.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business, right-of-way applications.
You want to do the
We
elections?
should do election.
Oh, okay.
Election of officers first.
I move we appoint Zach to be the vice chair of the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Zach is now the co-chair.
Woo!
What's that?
Probably should do chair also since it's a new year.
Oh, man, we could have had him be the chair.
Yeah, missed that chance. I need a motion for a chairperson.
You want to do it again?
Not particularly, but I will.
Well, you should have started with that.
Well, I didn't know that was a choice. I will.
Can we undo it?
I'll do it. It'll be fine.
Okay. I move to elect Ben Taylor as chairman of LaGrange County Drainage Board.
Second.
It's been motioned and second, and I remain the chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Or did you want to do it, Kevin, since it's already done?
I can.
Okay. Right-of-way application, Zach.
First on the agenda, we have it's after the fact, right-of-way application for a NIPSCO service to residents down on 800 South. This is about as far southwest as you can get in the county. This tile I don't have a lot of experience working with. It's in the records being there. They put the gas service in already. We haven't had any issues with water down there, so I assume they missed the tile. Typically, if they were putting this in, I would have had them try to locate the tile so they could have been a distance away from it to make sure they were very close to it or the proximity of all to it. So, is anybody from NIPSCO here today?
Yes.
Okay. You want to explain the situation out here, the service line of this house?
Yeah, it was just a
Sir.
breakdown. Zach,
Sir,
probably gotta
yeah,
go.
step
come on.
forward, please.
Give your name and address for the record.
Some new state laws.
I'm Ben Mannies with NIPSCO. That's MANNIES. And address is up in Michigan, if you want it, is where I reside. But I've worked with NIPSCO for a decade plus. So this was just a breakdown in communication. The permit was applied for. It is the regulated drain permitting is something the environmental group has recently taken over to help prevent things like this. This one fell through the cracks. It seems like the permitting team over in Ohio had applied for the permit, paid for it, but no one came to present to the board. That never made its way to the crew, so it was installed. The main is about 36 inches deep, and the service is 18 to 24 inches deep. They didn't report any anomalies, so we agree with it was probably missed, but there is, if it's desired by the board, we could go out and potentially locate it with the tracer wire that's on the pipe. But I guess any questions or concerns? It was already installed by the crews, so not much we can do except to ask for
Forgiveness.
yep, and hope that it doesn't happen in the future. But it is part of a programmatic permit, and unfortunately, they just didn't show up in November, December to actually present the application that they sent in and paid for already.
Thank you.
Okay.
Zach, do you have anything you'd like to see them do, or you want to just wait and see?
Since we don't know where this tile exactly is, it'd be nice if they came beforehand. We would like to have them exposed at least part where they're gonna cross.
Right.
So we know the depth and they're not right on top of it or grazed it. Since it's after the fact, you go out there and make that happen. It's kind of your guys' call. I mean, I prefer, but going through this process, permitting process, if we were to reconstruct that tile and that gas line to conflict, they're required to relocate the gas line by this permit. Just puts more gives us more arsenal. Like I said, I'm not sure where this tile is exactly at. The landowners probably know a little more than I do because they probably have stuff tied into it. But it's really up to your guys' call whether you how you guys want to go about it. Typically, like I said, we would maybe had them expose the tile so we knew they were, so many feet above it or below
Right,
it. But
and
in this case, they
locate
put it in, didn't hit it. Did they open cut it?
And they did. Since it's on the same side of the road, that's typically what they do, and this is particularly shallow. So
So-
that was part of the rationale of they likely didn't hit it because they would have reported, hey, there was something that we hit, or at least that's the hope.
Yeah. So we can be pretty confident that didn't hit it since it was open cut, and as long as they didn't, splice it together out there that I don't know about, it's your guys' call. Obviously, I prefer to always see it, but in this case, it's a one-off thing. I'm not sure if you accept it or not. We just have
I
to be
think
careful.
I personally think since it's already over, let's just do better moving forward, not make them go back and open it if Zach's not too
Well,
worried.
also the idea of it being an open cut, I would have liked to think just out of trust and honesty that they would have said something if they would have hit it.
I guess if something does occur down the line, as in an issue,
We would
is there
reach-
any way, as in if it got damaged,
We
is
would,
there any way to hold them responsible for it?
And that's part of the problem is if
That's
it,
the old minutes.
if it's they've hit it and it was dry, they could have just put through it, and we might have experience. We
Right.
haven't had a lot of water flow through it yet.
Right.
And what happens is if it sucks a big hole on the road, plugs are tile full of dirt. Obviously, it's a bigger problem than with just fixing it now. Like I said, I assume the contractor didn't hit it, but I wasn't there to verify anything to see the tile and see the gas line. So we're taking a chance basically without exposing it that it could have been hit, but nobody, the individual here today wasn't out there as well. So nobody has pictures or verification to tell us that besides the crew put the service line in. As far as we know, they didn't hit it, but we've had service crews hit lines and just cover them up and keep going. And we don't discover them until, 6 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 8 years later, as it acts up or starts to cave in. Because sometimes they'll still function, but it just depends on time when it actually collapses and really fails.
Have we had any issues with this drain before that you're aware of, Zach?
Nope.
Okay, so if something popped up this spring, once we get a lot of rain, that'd be a good indication that
Correct.
something changed.
And as long as NIPSCO is aware that's the case, because sometimes just because a damaged spot, it fills full of dirt, so the whole town needs replaced or jetted out. It costs a lot more money. We've been through that before. So we want to make sure that they're okay with taking the chance of that happening, and they'd be responsible for replacing that whole damaged section of tile or cleaning it. So as long as they're aware of that, I'm okay with it. But in the future, we would like to make sure, at least me or Corey or somebody gets a look at it to just verify where they cross the tile line at. And also, we like to expose the tile to know where that's at in depth relationship to the gas line. So we're not sitting right on top of each other, right under each other. Because when we construct these tiles, sometimes we alter a little bit of grade. And that gas line, if it's right next to it, is a problem. We've had to have that. We've had it really relocated before. So they'll have to do the same thing, I guess, if it's in the way.
Okay, do we need a motion to approve or?
Motion to
is-
approve the after the fact permit that this service line is crossing the drain.
I'll make a motion to approve the previously installed gas service, number 84 Lewis Phillips, is that correct?
For the drain, yep.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve NIPSCO's gas installation permit on the number 84 Lewis Phillips. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Quick, Corey, this thing's-
Thank you. Let's, I
next-
know the lady from environmental came and she said she was gonna try to streamline all this and
And she was here one time, but she said she'd be here at every meeting, which was
a couple
September.
months ago.
Do you have a name by chance?
She gave us business cards. I don't.
She was a female with brown hair.
Oh, that narrows it down.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't have it.
Next on the agenda, we heard this one last month, but nobody should represent it. But this is the retiring an aerial line, boring a new line. NIPSCO is just 2020. Is everybody here from NIPSCO to represent this one? No.
Do you want to, Ben?
I am happy to do so. I'm not aware of this project, but I've worked on lots of projects, so I can probably speak to what's happening. I think Kevin talked to somebody yesterday that made mention. I asked around, this might be another one that kind of fell through the cracks that engineering is aware of, that environmental isn't aware of yet, so.
Okay, I'm good with that. So it's going from an aerial into I think we discussed last month that we were okay with it as long as it followed all the state requirements of conduit and depth.
Is this the same one on the west side of LaGrange on 20?
Yep.
Okay.
Does that sound right, Zach? We said as long as it meets the
Yep.
state requirements for the right of way and is the proper depth and conduit, we're good with it. So can I have a motion to approve, please?
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, this is a update. I don't know if you guys seen this one. This is out in 20, just that's a 6 mile restaurant curb there. After we required the landowner who's here was requesting to build in the right of way to expose the tile. And so he hired a contractor to expose the tile. They retraced basically where the top picture is the previous illustration of it. The bottom picture is actually where the tile is located. So after discovering where it's actually located, the building will not be within the right of way. I'd like a motion to refund his money just because he did spend the money on a contractor to expose it and he's not in the right of way. So I don't feel it's fair that we keep his money at this point in time since he won't be encroaching in the drainage right of way.
You mean for the permit?
Yeah, he paid to encroach, thinking he'd be encroached, but you guys was let's see how close you are before we make a decision.
Yeah, we couldn't even make a decision because we didn't even know where it
Correct.
was.
I mean, as the old shape file looks like it's encroaching, but under your guys'
If
recommendation.
you look at them, and it makes a lot more sense that the tile would, I mean, that just looks.
It looks more reasonable,
Yeah.
realistic.
So I thank him for doing that, and I think since he paid money to have a contractor locate the tile, he probably paid, I don't know, maybe $1,000. I don't think it's necessary to keep. We'll just withdraw his application since he's no longer in right away and refund his money if you're okay with that.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, what kind of shape was it in? Was it in pretty good shape? Is he?
Merv's
Merv's not here, is he?
Corey was
Yes,
out there.
It
It's in good
was?
shape.
Yeah. It's
Awesome.
It's a really deep clay tile and
Oh, it's clay.
yeah, excuse me, it rolls through a swale down into the ditch. And it's
What size?
7, 8 feet deep, 15-inch.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
And it's taking over all that water from that wet spot.
So we need to
Make a motion to refund.
refund his permitting fees. I move to refund Merv Yoder, his, what?
Wyman and Edna Miller.
Why, sorry. I move to refund Wyman and Edna Miller their fees for permitting for an encroachment of right of way.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to refund Wyman and the Miller's permit fees. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next on the agenda is MCC Network Services / Verizon. I suppose it's for a fiber run. This is just going from basically from 20 on 100 west, going north up to 300 north. It's about 3 miles of running there. The parts where they're in conflict with their drain, they're crossing lateral tile in the north there. They're going beside the ditch that we have there on the north side, and they'll be close to a regulated drain right there in the middle of the project.
Zach, I'm thinking of on the east or west side.
That's, I assume from the plans where they're going to be on the west side.
You say west.
I was going to get clarification today are you from?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you speak just a second here. So I have a couple concerns here. Basically, if they're going to be on the west side, as they go to our ditch there's not a lot of room between the road and the ditch. It falls off pretty steep there. I prefer that they not be on the west side, at least in that section, just because it destabilizes the banks. They use a slurry that can leach into the ditch. It's so close to the road, there's not a lot of room to work. It's gonna be hard to work there, I believe, along that ditch line. So in that section, if they're gonna be on the west side, I prefer to be on the east side where we wouldn't be digging, where they wouldn't be disturbing the ditch banks, boring. Environmentally, it's a good idea to just stay away from flowing waterways when they're using the slurry and stuff they use for directional drilling. My other two concerns are here. This is, I don't know if you guys remember this or not. There's 2 giant private tiles that cross 100 west here that are not regulated. We tried to regulate them probably 3-4 years ago. It was a failed attempt. And
what was the name?
Mary J. Lambright.
Okay. Yep.
Basically, these are 2 huge tiles that service a large area. A lot of water runs through. We had a guy petition to establish it as a regulated drain so it's protected so you could fix it on other people's property. So we traced down where the drains were at. I put forth a petition so nobody would build upon them in the future. They wouldn't be disturbed because they're big and they carry a lot of water. So my concern is that when they bore, since those aren't regulated, they're not getting permits for those. How do we, and they're going to be right in a road right away. How do we make sure that they miss those 2 large private drains that would be a much bigger problem than actually our drains as well, that are not shown in the map? That's part of the problem. We don't regulate these is they won't show up and then they don't avoid them and they get hit, and then who fixes it? That's the problem I had. That's why I was trying to regulate it, not to charge money, just to make sure it's on the map so they don't get damaged. But nevertheless, you guys felt by the crowd that we were going to regulate them. So that's what I have to say about this new fiber line. Those 2 private drains I'm concerned about, and then the ditch to the north there, but they're going to be on the west side. So if you want to come speak, give your name and address.
I'm John Lawyer with Metro Communications or MCC Network Services. With his questions about moving the sides of the road, like we can go over these prints and I can write out on it and see if maybe if we can apply for a different permit to move to the opposite side of the road, wherever he thinks that we're going to be close to the tile, and see if we can get a different permit through the county to move to the other side of the road.
Is that difficult? Is it difficult to go back and forth?
Sometimes, like I can talk to my office that's been in contact with you guys, and we can try to re-permit it. Then for those other 2 tiles that he was talking about, for the tiles, what we do is if the farmer knows where they're at, we give them 50 foot a radius on each side. Then we'll try to probe it and find it. And if we can find it, we'll end up boring underneath it. And if we can probe it, or if we have to dig it up and find it, we usually go underneath it by 4 or 5 foot. So we're out of the way. And that's what we'll do with all the tiles that we have to cross. We'll just go underneath them by 4 or 5 foot.
Do you have those tiles located by chance from when we tried to? Close. Would you be willing to help them out?
If I've done that in the past with NIPSCO, where they're crossing some of our regulated drains, I know there's some private drains where, as long as the boring company, I don't know if he's boring or the boring company with a third party, they have to contact me when they're going to be out there, and I can walk to the spots. But if they don't contact me, I can't drive out there every day and look around. Is it here yet? So it depends on their contractor, their sub that's doing the boring, who's leading that crew to contact this. I have no problem helping. That's for
Okay. Yeah. I'll be over this job up here, so I'd be able to contact him whenever we actually start it, and we can go over whatever he wants out there and give him a week notice or something before we start, so we can go over the stuff, and I can actually have him put it on the prints, and we can write it on the prints, and we can put little notes on there, so that way if I don't get a hold of them, which I would be able to, but just have a backup plan that it's on here. There's a tile in this area. It's about this deep, and we can actually put it in a little notation box. So that way, whenever we give these prints to our in-house people or our contractors, it'll actually show up that it's on there. And there's a tile about this deep in this area. So they'll know to look for it.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
So you okay with approving it with those amendments to the, what is the amendments?
Yeah, the two private drains are my main concern, and then obviously that ditch. If you drive down there, I don't believe there's enough room to put a fiber on that side of the road and do it responsibly that tight all on the ditch. So if that section where the open drain to the north there, I'd like them to be on the east side of the road, staying at the still in our ditch right of way, but outside of our working area and not going to be in conflictory of destabilizing that ditch. In the past, we don't allow that, and I don't think we should today. So if you want to approve it, those conditions that they have to contact me a week ahead of time to locate the two large private drains, as well as relocating on that northern section where the open drain is to the east side of the road versus the west side, just because there's not room to work, I believe.
Can you guys formulate that into a motion?
So I was trying to figure out here.
I move to approve the MCC network / Verizon fiber optic boring as long as between sections of 200 north to 300 north are located on the east side of the road, as well as a condition of MCC network to contact LaGrange County Surveyor's Office within 1 week of contracting and or doing the job of the fiber optic line.
Okay.
Sound good?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve it with the conditions that prior to 1 week, they contact the surveyor's office to locate the 2 private drains. And up at the open drain, they try to move to the east side of this road near the open drain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a large connection. It's come from a spur from a site plan. This site has a residence. It has a large poultry barn, and they're looking to put a big new, I think, a wood shop on the southern portion of that lot. Go ahead, go to the next picture to the site plan. To see it. This is the site plan. So there's 2 phases of development here. They're going to be adding a lot of impervious surface, and they put a new drainage system in that's going to be tying an 18-inch outlet into our drain. If these are small little farm outlets, I just approve them in-house, but when we do this large of an outlet, I get a little concerned about how much water is going to be dumped additional to this drain versus how it's getting there now. Now it comes across a road culvert, kind of surface flows across the pasture, and then down to the drain. This is going to speed up the water from the outlet of the road down to the ditch, and also take a lot of water from the developed site. They do have some storage on there for the developed site, but also it's dumping a lot more water of development water into the drain directly into it. So I don't like approving these large connections on a drain that's pretty flashy and has it's semi overloaded already. But Scott's here. I think you represent this, Scott. Can you come talk real quick?
Good morning. So Scott Ziegler, Hand of the Plow Surveying. So the situation here, like Zach said, Wilbur's putting some new buildings in there. When I looked at the stormwater I can barely see it there on the map there, but on the southwest side of Wilbur's property, there's either a 24 or a 30-inch cross pipe underneath the road that's carrying water from that land to the south of the road across the road.
So is any of that existing, or are you just catching the pipe that comes across from the south? And
All that comes now is just a pipe. So the
Just a
transverse pipe or cross pipe crosses the road, carries that
Just
water
dumps.
across, right, and just dumps there and then does whatever down through there. So we had the option of, that water's heading right toward our facility. So we would be berming, diking, swaling that to go around our facility. And just letting it surface flow to the ditch. Well, I did not like that option at all because there was a tremendous amount of fall there, and I thought that was going to be erosive and it's going to cause problems with the ditch. So I thought the best way to handle that was to take, at our expense, we'd be taking that water that's coming across the road. And I think, excuse me just a minute here. I think there was 18 CFS of water that comes across the road now. I figured that at a 30-inch pipe, so it may be slightly less than that if it actually is a 24-inch pipe. But the pipe's about half full of mud now, but I'm assuming at some point it's got to be cleaned out, replaced, or whatever with that same size pipe. My calculation showed it probably needed to be a 24 or 30-inch pipe to handle the water to run across the road, so that it didn't run over the surface of the road to get underneath the road. So that we're looking at having to deal with that amount of water coming through there. So again, we could easily divert the water around our project, dike it, swale, whatever. I felt the best would be to put that water into a pipe. And sorry, here, I'll get you the numbers exactly. If we had if it is a 30-inch pipe at the grade that we had shot, it'd be carrying a little over 18 cubic feet of water just coming across the road. The 18-inch tile that I have discharging into the ditch would be carrying 10 CFS of water. So about half, slightly more than half of the water that would come across the road anyways. So our idea would be most of the flows of water that would be crossing the road would drop into that pipe and then run down to the ditch in a pipe, not over the surface. And we could lower that. We could reduce the size of that pipe if you want to. If you want something less than that, that's perfectly fine. That should handle the 10-year storm event is what I had figured. And that's typically what we design our pipes for, to handle a 10-year storm event, which would be about a 3.5-inch rain event.
that's 12-inch all the way.
No, it's 18 at the bottom, and we would start at
12
and then increase as we go down in size. Part of that was slope. Because I have more slope, I can go with a smaller pipe. So steeper my slope.
What size do you have coming out of the detention area?
I have a, hang on just a second here.
Looks like 10-inch.
Yeah, I was gonna give you the CFS on that, so.
Okay, I can see it if I squint, right? Yeah.
It's right there.
I see it now.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm carrying 0.88 CFS out of my detention area. So if you look at my site itself, I have 5.4 acres or 5.47 acres, whatever, that would be discharging. That discharge in the existing 5-year event would show 12 CFS of water running off. It's pretty steep slope there. So now the house and barn is already there. That'll just continue to discharge there. But I'm taking 2/3 of that area, all the developed area. I'm throttling that down to less than 1 CFS when there was 12. And that's all that my development is discharging into that tile, even though the tile itself is discharging more. So if you want me to make that tile smaller, I still think the best option is we have a tile connecting the water at the road to the ditch and not letting that run over the surface. I think that's the wisest thing to do. We're doing it at our expense anyways. So the smaller we make that tile, then the smaller that rain event is that's now going to fill that tile, then it's going to run over the surface. So another option, I hadn't talked to Wilbur about this, but where we were going to tap into the ditch just to the east on the other adjoining landowner is a crossing pipe. And I think Wilbur's animals kind of use the dirt over that pipe to get back across the ditch. It would probably make sense to just extend that crossing pipe over onto our property so that our animals are crossing on a pipe and not over, on a bank. And then the tile that we would discharge would tee into that culvert pipe. So then we would almost eliminate any erosive effects there because we're tapping that water instead of just shooting across the bank. We'll just tap it right into that crossing pipe. Just extend that pipe, I don't know what it'd be, 20, 30 feet to the west. And then this tile, the 18-inch tile, would tap into that with a pre-manufactured tee into the side of that culvert pipe. We'd have a crossing on our own property. Wasn't part of this request here, but I think it'd probably be the more logical thing. And then whatever size pipe you want, we'll do that. Just realize the smaller the pipe we go, that we're going to have surface water we're going to have to deal with there. So again, we were trying to, at our expense, put a pipe that's going to convey all of that road water, at our expense through the pipe down to the ditch there.
And more velocity, okay.
Pardon?
More velocity, more
Yeah,
pressure.
it's going to be coming faster, certainly because it's in a pipe. But at the same time, we're going to virtually eliminate all the erosion.
I mean, if we make the pipe smaller, it's going to have more pressure and have more erosive properties. But
Yeah.
You guys see any issues? Zach, do you have any issues?
I see there, Scott's made some improvements on part of this by, like I said, the pipe, but it does, I believe, take water and it does speed up the process how it gets to the ditch. But as the surface flows, it does slow down. It does get some infiltration. As we take it and pipe it directly, we are going to be adding water to this drain, to this development site. I guess I think this drain is on for maintenance, and we've done some work on it. It's just I call it a heavily abused drain due to the development out there. 34 years ago, it was just a big farm field with a ditch through it. Now we got, I think, 8, 9 residences, crossings, chicken barns, this more development. It's really taken its toll on the ditch. You've been out there and walked it, you'd be like, holy cow, this thing gets a pretty heavy abuse. That's why I guess I flagged a little bit on just the condition of the drain and the overuse of it. So that being said, some Scott's things are improvements. I think some of them on the whole holistic on the whole development, add more water and add could create problems on the drain. I'd like to slow the water down as much as I can coming off the site. Obviously, we split up to a certain point. The thought of Scott throttling the pipe down, you can throttle the pipe down, then your last stick or 2 sticks be bigger pipes, so the velocity as it enters the ditch is less. We've done that in the past too. So 18 inches is a lot of water, and that thing's running full. It's a lot of water that's getting there a lot quicker than current conditions, I believe. So that's my drawback to it is the size of pipe coming in from a developed site from a ditch that's pretty abused, I guess you call it. One of the worst in the county, actually. So if we went out there and everything's all stabilized and looked good, it's like, oh, this thing can handle some water. But as it's been abused by all its neighbors upstream and downstream, it becomes like how much more water we're going to dump to this, and then how are we going to address as we take that water? Are they paying any more? Are we adjusting the drainage rates? I guess that's my concern. So 18 inches is a big pipe. Like I said, if we could throttle it down a little more, and then if you're worried about velocity, the last couple sticks put a bigger pipe so it slows the pressure down. You know what I mean? It dumps into it. That's what I'd recommend. But Scott, what were you recommending if you had to downsize that pipe?
Well, I'm not recommending downsizing, period. It's just if you tell me to, I will. But again, realize what we're discharging in with that 18-inch pipe is less than the 5-year discharge in an undeveloped condition on that property.
That's
So-
the yeah.
We're making it better than what it is.
Somewhat, yeah. It depends on how you look at it.
I mean, the numbers don't lie. It is.
Well, if you take water from a pipe from the road down versus let it surface flow, it gets there a lot differently on a path.
I agree.
And how it infiltrates and what it goes through versus obviously in a dry summertime rain, most of that water make it to the ditch.
What I'm
Now
saying-
it's piped directly to it, so it gets there instantaneously. It's different conditions. I
But what I'm
believe.
saying is, if you ignore the water coming across the road, that 5 acres south of the ditch with nothing there would discharge water at a rate of 12 CFS into that ditch. With nothing there, nothing with the road. You add the road water into that, you add our development into that as well, we're discharging water at 10 CFS, less than what it would be. So in the developed condition, we're discharging less total water by cubic feet per second than there is right now.
Correct. On a large storm event, I believe it does have some benefits. On a medium storm event, it probably has detrimental stuff. So it depends on how you guys want to look at it.
What are the soil types? Is it a low or wet? Is it a really wet? I see you have a proposed septic area right here on the south side, so that leads me to think that the soils are pretty good. Don't know. And that's, I don't usually ask that, so I was just,
Yeah, it's
you don't know. It's fine.
My guess is they would probably be more of a loamy type soil. Enough that I did not want water to surface flow from the culvert pipe to the ditch. So I'm not, as an engineer, I'm not recommending downsizing that pipe at all because I think there's going to be some negative impacts there. I think any issues you might have with water going in that ditch, we could address with putting that culvert pipe in like I talked about and tapping into that from the standpoint of the ditch itself. 12 CFS or 10 CFS is an extremely small number. That's less than the 5-year runoff. All your open ditches ought to handle at least a 5-year undeveloped rain event, if not a 10-year rain event in a developed or in a maintained condition. So I think the ditch can easily handle the water we're putting in here and realize that it's not just our water, it's a bunch of watershed from the south that's coming across there as well too. So we're really talking a couple hundred acres of water really that's coming through and being discharged. I understand Zach's concerns, but I really do honestly believe that it's not going to detrimentally impact.
like I said, I'm 50-50 on it. I see Scott's, I agree with Scott on some stuff, other parts, it's it's hard. This LaGrange is transforming. These ditches were put in and tiles were put in for farm drainage, for farm fields, for agricultural purposes. Now we're changing to a development state, which changes the nature of the drain, I believe. So how we address that, we tried doing it with Matt Mearsman's land use soil type. That's a benefit, but that's cumbersome to juggle through too. So that's part of if they're paying a little more because they have a developed site, that helps us maintain the drain a little better. We just have a lot of, I don't know what to call it, and neighbors in this drain that really, I guess, abuse of the drain. And some, they got 2 or 3 that are okay, and the rest of them just feel like it's just a outlet for whatever they just want to dump into it, and it gets it's very cumbersome to work here anymore. We had to dip it. We had huge issues with every landowner down through here. So I guess that's my red flag on this one, is because of the already problems we've dealt with the neighbors and how much water comes through here on a flash standpoint. But like I said, I can see where Scott's coming from. I think this would benefit sometimes on a big rain event, probably helpful, and smaller rain events, probably a little detrimental, but it's kind of a wash, I guess. It's up to you guys.
Do you guys want to put any conditions on it? Do you want him to change anything?
What's your thoughts, man?
I think it's, with the situation at hand, I think it's a good plan.
I do too.
Is it the best? No, it's not a perfect scenario.
But downsizing is not an option in my books. I mean, the pipe.
It's not gonna.
I've never seen downsizing end well,
No, I haven't either.
because when you downsize, your volume goes down, yes, but your pressure goes up.
Pressure goes
And
up.
pressure is not
And like Scott said, if we do it too much, then it's just gonna flow over
over the top, and then we're back to square one.
back to why'd you bother to pay for the pipe at all?
Right. And if you run it across the surface, you're working with erosion and that bring all that sediment into the creek. So that's a greater factor of clogging than it would be if it were piped.
Right.
But overland flow and like Zach said, so it doesn't flash. So I mean, I see,
I
Gentlemen,
I
we
see
see-
your point, and
I do.
Scott, I also see your point.
The
I
overland
really do.
flow is, if it's a hay field, it's not bad overland flow. If it's a plowed field, overland flow is not what you want.
Any
So it really
tillage.
depends on the parameters, what's there, how
And,
it's managed.
and that's
Even-
like the question you asked, what kind of soil type? Okay, if it's red clay, I'm not real worried about it.
Right.
If it's sandy loam, somebody does fall tillage, which I'm a firm believer in fall tillage. You get out where conditions are like today, or say like the end of this week when Friday is supposed to be 60 and rain, and you get a heavy rain event, and then you've got all that topsoil and silt going into your ditch, going into your pipe, going into your drain, whatever. I think this is a better option than water just flowing across the top of the ground. I do.
One thing we could address, Zach's concerned a little bit too, on the low flows, the manholes on this diversion line around, I just call them a dry bottom, or just don't have a poured bottom. We can make a
Correct.
porous bottom to it. So the low flows would at least have a little chance to percolate down in that structure. there.
I was thinking about perforated pipe as well, but I don't
Yeah, we
know.
could run a perforated.
Perforated so that when it is dry season,
Yep, I think
that
those
as
are
much of
helpful.
it goes into the ground, doesn't go to
Doesn't
our.
Yeah.
go- yeah.
So I think that's what I'd like to see. I'd see open bottom manholes and perforated pipe.
And the connection, to extend the culvert pipe.
I was gonna ask, do you have to rip wrap the heck out of that or I liked the connection idea. I know you said you hadn't got to talk that over with your
I
clients.
think it'd be just as economical for him to extend that pipe. It's gonna benefit him, because now he does have a good crossing
Well, it's
there.
there already. Why not just extend it?
What conditions of
Yeah.
pipe and Scott that you're connected to?
I didn't even look at that.
I guess that would be a little bit of,
Yeah.
if it's metal, plastic, you don't know?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. I guess that depends a little bit on connecting. If it's a good solid pipe, you're connecting with metal to metal or plastic to plastic.
We'll bring a proposal back to you on that, but I think the concept would be
Well,
connecting to
but
that,
our-
however we're gonna do that.
But the ones that we can control on this site will be brand new.
Correct.
Right.
So if the neighbors degrades,
I get worried about the connection. Like when you connect, metal to plastic's hard to make a connection. If it's metal to metal, you have to have a big band. I don't like
gotcha.
when they just roll in a pipe, butt joint it.
And
then-
leave it set.
And then like, oh, look, we connected it. And then all of a sudden you have all the dirt run from the top of the drain down in there and their pipes full of dirt.
Or you
So
got water
that's what I'm
blowing out of
concerned
the
about. Is
ground.
how you connect to the old one.
I'll bring a proposal back to Zach. If
Okay.
he's not comfortable, he can bring it to you
Yep.
before we make that.
I have no problem with the
connection.
pipe as long as the connection's made
I
correct.
understand now. I misunderstood.
Too many people roll a pipe in next to their pipe, like that big gap, like, it's be all right.
All right. Can we have a motion? Would you like me to make it?
You make it.
Yeah.
Move to approve with the conditions that they extend the crossing for the connection. The manholes are open bottom manholes and the pipes going to the ditch are perforated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Don't go too far, Scott.
Next on the agenda, this one's just downstream of that lateral probe we just talked about,
Get
dumps
on
in the
that.
main line here.
It's right down the
They
road.
got a site plan, before you go to the next page. This is a site plan. I did have some questions for Scott on if this permit was for just connection from the detention pond to the drain, or is this for the other connection to the north too on proposed future development, I guess. So I'll give Scott a chance to talk about this one.
It's none of my business, but boy, it looks tight for trucks.
Okay. So a request, I believe, was for the tile connections to the drain, both tile connections. There may be some future phases that would have improvements in the right of way. We'll deal with those when we get ready to work on those phases itself there
We're connecting to the ditch on the east?
on the west side.
Okay.
Are we at the same place?
No, this is on 1100.
This is
Okay.
RH Yoder, yeah, 1100 west.
300.
All right,
Okay.
Yoder.
I can never remember which one's the Eden and the Rose. It'd be the west of the two ditches there, which runs right along the eastern side of 1100 is the one we'd be connecting into. The other ditch, you can see it off to the east side of the property there. So the water itself on this property sheds both directions. Probably the majority is going to shed over to the east ditch. The east ditch, in my opinion, is by far a substandard ditch, if you will. It's flatter. It's got a wider floodplain. The floodway and all of the flood issues come from that ditch itself. The west ditch does not have those issues from that standpoint. We have got DNR. We went through a lot of work last few years to get DNR permits to construct or to add fill in the flood plain and floodway there. And it, as a side note, we have permits to add fill in there for this project, and we do not have to provide compensatory storage. That tells me their flood maps are way in excess of what they should be, because if you had this amount of fill and it truly was correct, then we should have compensated for that. So we're not arguing that at all. We're just, that's again a point that the maps are grossly overstated, in my opinion, that they're too high. But anyways, what we're asking for is I've designed the full build out on this entire project. We're taking our stormwater as much as I possibly can. We're running a line from the northwest corner of the building, the proposed building, the final building, and going to the east around the buildings and south along the east side of the buildings. And all of the roof water that would drain north and east is going to be collected and run over into the southwest corner into a large detention facility there. The other water that would be on the west side of these buildings, I don't have a viable, easy way to detain that water in a classical detention facility. And I don't have the grade to route that water all the way around. As it is, I'm running 1,500 feet of pipe to get that water all the way around and back into the ditch. So I'm taking water that really literally would be 100 feet from a ditch, and I'm routing it 1,500 feet all the way back around the opposite direction of flow to the detention pond to throttle it back down substantially, then to discharge it into the ditch. So I'm doing everything I possibly can to manage this water. I looked at the total site and looked at the total runoff in a 5-year event with nothing on the property, no buildings, nothing at all there. And I've tried to model what is being discharged now at that rate total for the property. Now, that said, in order to make this work, the pipe to the north, we're taking that water off with an 18-inch pipe. I think the plans might have said 24, but it's an 18-inch pipe we'd be discharging that water and we're picking up that water from the northwest corner. I would have potentially some larger manholes there, but I can't really store much water in a manhole or in a pipe, right? It's very minuscule comparatively. But when you look at the discharge of the water from that pipe and the one to the south, that is grossly limited. Then that equates to 9.5 CFS of water, which is the same amount of water that this site would proportionally discharge in the 5-year event. So I've tried to limit my total discharge to what would have came off of that site in the 5-year rain event. Again, my opinion, and this goes way back to when I was in Noble County. We looked at our ditches when we developed our storm and erosion ordinance, and we believe that the legal open ditches, as a general rule, should handle a 10-year rain event in a maintained condition before they cause problem. That would have been designed at its designed rate that could handle existing 5-year undeveloped conditions. 10-year undeveloped conditions. We're only discharging at the 5, so we're discharging at a rate substantially less than what I believe the open ditches could handle. To give an example of what we're looking at for volume, the ditch to the west is about 8 feet wide on the bottom, 6 to 8 feet wide on the bottom, and about 30-some feet wide on the top, and about 8 feet deep. If you would instantaneously take the 100-year rain event that would fall on our impervious surfaces, it would fit inside. So if you instantly take all that 100-year rain, which would be a 5.41-inch rain event, take all of that water, every bit of it, it would fit in the ditch opposite our property. It would fit in that volume there. All right. So if I could instantaneously do that, and it would take about 8 minutes for that water to clear out of there. Okay. So if I dump all of our water instantaneously into the ditch, now it would also take all of the water to the south of 300. So about a half a mile south of us, I think there's about a couple thousand acres, maybe 1,000 at least acres that would come into that ditch at 300. That water, again, if all of that water was instantaneously put in a ditch at that same exact time, that water would not catch my water. So my water would get, so there's some merit to on a property that's very close to an open ditch, getting that water in and out through the system. The
There's
same way,
also- There's also a lot of merit in looking at, if you're having to run it 1,500 feet around and make it go through go through a pond and then out an 8-inch pipe to the ditch later, you are detaining that water for
it's everything I can
a
possibly do.
long, I mean, as long as possible.
Can be expected.
Where's the natural break line between the east and west ditch? Is it about, it looks like it's like 859. Does it look like it, the property kind of,
If I
where
were,
does it shed to the east and where does it shed to the west?
I would say about a third at the most to a quarter of the water would go west. So there's going to be more that's going east than is west. I could take water to the east, but the problem is I can't pipe it there.
No,
I don't have enough
I'm
grade
just-
to do that. So yeah, about a third to a quarter of water would go to the
Glenn.
west. And
Can I see the site plan?
Yeah.
I just can't read it on, what I want to read, I can't read.
You want me to go to CVS and get you a pair of those
I have a
glasses?
pair, I just don't want to bring them. Nobody's seen them, I haven't worn them in public ever.
I should have got you
58
a nice, pretty pair for Christmas.
sparkly ones.
Yeah. Hello Kitty. That'd be nice.
the other thing we did too, this is a little unique, and I did about as much as I could. We put, so on the drain that goes west, right, from the northwest, the larger tile, at the last manhole, I did have a diversion tile that is going to be setting up a little higher, but it's as low as I could get it. And that can, if that tile is over capacity, it will, there's a flat tile that runs around and connects in the other tile, but I can't get it low enough to take all of it there. In a flood condition, water is going to back up through the system. So when water comes up to the 100-year event, it's going to back up through our system, both directions, through our detention pond and through the other tile there. And there's nothing we can really do about that. But again, I guess my point back to that idea of how we manage water, the best way to manage water is a watershed approach, stormwater. So we look at the entire 10,000 acre Eden Rose system, right? And spend $1 million and have somebody design the entire, or look at the entire system, and then would say, okay, this property can discharge directly. This one has to throttle back to this one does something else. So you look at the entire watershed. When we look at individual sites, site by site, the best we can do is an ordinance, which you guys don't have, but for instance, Noble Counties, which I usually model mine after, and it would be that I discharge no more than the 5-year undeveloped condition of the site. When you do that, what you run the risk of everybody holding their water back and then everybody discharging at the same time. So what happens, I can show you places of Fort Wayne where this is the case, where when you do that, you lower your peak water flow. So the water does not rise to this level anymore. It only rises to this. But when it was raised up here, it was out of there in, let's say, 1 day. When you throttle it back to a lower level, then it stays there for 3 days. So the first scenario is fine for farming because the water gets in there, it floods your corn for a day, then it's gone. The other scenario, it floods your corn only 6 inches, but stays there for 3 days. Now you've killed the corn crop, right? So again, that's the risk of looking at only a site by site. The best thing would be look at the entire project there as a whole. So we can't do that. So the best we can do is to say, we try to be responsible by discharging at the 5-year event. If you guys want to pass an ordinance that says something different, that's fine. But that's the standard I use. I never discharge more than that. But in this case, I really didn't have the numbers of the capacity to discharge, less than that 5-year event. But I firmly believe that ditch there is capable of handling that event. And again, realize that our water is going to probably be in the system and out before most of the water even catches up from the south. This watershed, if you realize, is like an hourglass, right? If you drop south of 300, there's a huge area of watershed, probably, 6,000 acres or better, that would be south of 300. Then those are, as these two ditches come together at 200, then the watershed gets very narrow from there going forward. So there's a very large bowl to the south there that's pinching down into this and moving out. So honestly, a lot of this area between the Eden and the row here, between 200 and 300, it would be better if that water got in there and got out of there as fast as possible, not hold it back, and then when that big deluge comes from the south, then it has the ditches open and clear then.
Zach, has this been cleared recently?
No.
'Cause I mean,
It's all wooden. I think that the
so
channel,
all
it's,
trees are, I mean,
the
I
trees are
surveyed
there,
a
but I think
decade-
that the channel is flowing pretty decent. It's just there, you have not debrushed the sides, but the channel itself on this ditch is better, I think, than the other one. But most of, I mean, both of them for the most part have water that's flowing through there. There's not major restrictions that I saw in there when I was out there in those sections. They
I
still
just
need to
I
be.
haven't been to down this road for a while, and I wondered if it was different the way I remember it. That's all.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it been, because it was brushy a decade ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
Thank
It's
you,
fine. I
Scott.
can answer
Yeah.
answer for the.
Scott got a lot of good points. I agree with a lot of what he said. And there's been a lot of studying on whether we should hold back water or discharge when it's closer, because it does, if everybody holds back and discharges, it creates more problems later. So Matt Mearsman's supposed to be here today because we've been going through some seminars that explain this in more detail, but he'd be a good one to talk, but he's sick today. He wasn't able to come. This ditch is a lot better shape than the other ditch, the lateral of the Pro. When it rains hard, this water runs crystal clear. That Pro looks like it's dumping mud right in this ditch. That's why I was concerned about that one more than this one, because I've been down there when it rains, and this flows a lot of water, and it's always got good high quality water. It looks clear. The lateral that we looked at before looks like it just dumps silt right into this ditch, filling this ditch up full of silt and sediment. So that's why I was more concerned about that one. Scott's points, like he said, he looks at just the site. It's always hard to do. To look at the whole watershed would be way too overburdensome and too costly. But that would be the best case scenario, to look at the whole site of the whole watershed. But to have the analysis done is a lot of time, money, energy, and effort that the county hasn't put forth yet. So I like I said, I don't always like all the developed sites dumping water right in the drain, but I see Scott's point, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I'm not highly in favor of it either. It's not like I'm like, yeah, tie right in, this is great. But I also know that if we're going to develop the county, Scott's trying to do it in a responsible way to minimize some damage. But like I said, this is
like
another
it.
site. So
I do too.
Okay.
I move to approve the right-of-way application for Richard Yoder.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
okay, Corey got old business. Next, go ahead, next slide. Tony, do you want to talk today, or do you want to wait to?
So I emailed you guys last night with a
Oh, last
document.
night?
Yeah, it was late.
I missed it.
Sorry, it was supposed to get to you a lot
It's
sooner.
past my bedtime, Tony. Come on.
But yeah, it's basically a comprehensive memo that we can use going forward. Before we talk about it, I wanted you guys to have a chance to review it. Sorry I didn't get to you sooner. I'd like to meet with Zach sometime in the next month before the next meeting, and then kind of present everything at that time, if that's okay.
That's fine. Yep. All right, next.
That's a big email.
You guys can go if you want. We won't be insulted.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Go ahead. Next.
He might take you out for lunch if you wait long enough.
We bid out two projects this last month here. One is for the phase 3 Sam Miller. This is the one my Emma have been working on. Sent 3 bid packets out, got 3 bids returned. We have Mervyn Yoder 124 950, Adam Castle 74 950, and Gilbert's at 90 364. Gilbert's did say that their bid was good for next fall, not this year yet, because they're too busy to do it this winter still. So I did talk to all contractors, see, Gilbert's were the only one that said they couldn't do it this year. It'll be next fall, I guess this year, but
Like 26?
26 fall. Yeah.
Okay.
So the rest of them were
So that field is chisel plowed.
plowed.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to do it right now.
And the other contractors said that they could do it in the fall, or they could do it if the conditions are right. They could do it probably before. Gilbert said even if the conditions were correct, we got dried out, they still wouldn't be able to do it this winter. So nevertheless, they were the middle bidder. Adam Castle was a low bidder. I feel comfortable. Gilbert's have done the first couple sections. It'd be nice to have them do it, but at the price difference, I think
We don't
Adam
have
and
choice.
Greg do a good job. So
Well, Castle's done.
He does
good
awesome work.
So-
He does. Him and Greg.
Would you like us to award it to?
yeah, I think so. I think I feel comfortable with Adam doing it.
I move to award the number 180 Sam Miller Phase 3 bid to Adam Castle for $74,950.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to award the bid to Adam Castle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Why not just make it 75,000?
Because it looks better.
This is out going over.
Next bid, we did this little ditch project just on the, just by Shipshawana. I had Corey go out and look at this ditch. There was some aerial stuff, and the outlet is pretty much at the bottom of the pipe, but where the downstream section is pretty low. But as we go towards State Road 5, Corey went to inspect the pipe because I wanted to see what condition it was. It was underwater. It's like a 3-foot pipe. So it's time to clean that ditch, and we have money in it. And so I sent out for bid, and we got these 3 bids to clean that section of drain.
Well, I move to approve Adam Castle's bid for $10,050 for the number 13 SSE Esh ditch bid.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Adam Castle, the number 13 drain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Got our meeting next month, February 4th. If you guys have any questions before then, let me know. That's all I have for today. If you guys have anything else for me, I'll answer.
Scott,
I got one update, just quick.
What up, Scott?
We've been working on that project. I forget the ditch name, sorry, but out at 200 East by REMC, south of 20.
Yeah,
With Shetler.
Shetler.
Right. So we've decided, he wants to move forward with the rezoning on that property, but we're not going to do anything with the drain. We've looked at all kinds of different options. The cost to replace or move or whatever was just too cost prohibitive on the project. So you guys do whatever you need to do. We're actually, some of the project is going to go there is going to go to the Olds property outside of town here. We're going to look at developing that property instead, out there on, what's it, 200, I guess.
the just auctioned?
Yes, yeah. So we're going to move our focus over to that one. We still want to rezone that property because we think it should be rezoned in the future. So we're not exactly sure what that property out there is going to look like. So at this point, the last conversation we had was we think we could make the drain work, make our project work around wherever the legal drain right away is right now. So go ahead and proceed however you need to on that one. So sorry for the hold up there, but we did really analyze everything and see if we can make that work and whatever. So
No problem.
We don't need to do anything to do with that. do
We were that drain needs fixed. We turned it on to fix. Scott came forward with this proposal, so we're kind
We
of
were going to move the whole thing up to
yeah. I didn't want
20.
to bid out a new drain and then Scott have to move their money and then move it. It's like, so we're kind of on a hold. I hadn't heard from Scott. They said they were still in the works, so it's not like an emergency. But now we're going to go pursue what we want to do.
Because what they were going to do, where Shetler owns, they were going to move it north, run along the right of way on 20, and then that would eliminate the easement right to the middle of that property, because it almost makes it so where you can't really build on it without being close to it.
That larger building they wanted to. Yeah, they built 2 smaller buildings or something. But yeah, it was going to work for the size they want to develop. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
Anything else?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
A motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
almost got your monitoring plan.
Corey, do you have anything you need to sign?
Yes.
I think that was everything. The minutes, the timesheet.
We're just trying to.
So if you're
Normally
going,
there's
Pipe
the-
across there and dot.
Yeah.
Once
if
all
you're
the
going, I
sections
just,
left,
I
I'm like,
jack and board.
I go, you know what you can do? I said, just drive over it.
But
And
it's
then
also less
drive over again. If you
section
feel
on
bump,
that.
it's settled.
Yeah, yeah. They did the reason they did this was they had a guy
There was a
directional
meeting.
drill under
Kevin was
69.
gone.
He hit something, he backed out,
Oh,
he
yeah.
drilled like
it
3
was
times.
me and
4 foot pipe
Todd
and
and
so
you
that's
and
why
Todd.
this
It's all
is
over. I know how they react.
major
Todd had to
overkill.
abstain.
We're almost done on this.
Okay.
I talked to Tori a little bit.
was it
Anyway.
that or was it something else?
Manhole,
Yep.
manhole.
Anyway, when
Fit in
the 2
here.
of us,
Showed the
there's only
driveway
3 of us.
down
Okay.
here. The one thing, I don't know if you guys have talked about, there is a decent.
You need a
amount of
coolant.
elevation slope
Yeah.
down to here, so I don't know.
Well,
if
no,
when you dig
that
this
was-
work pit,
don't.
You may need the sheet
was-
pile.
it was another-
Kind of
I don't know.
figure how he wants to do that.
Because the
Uh,
problem
because
is,
everything
like
that you got,
anything in
you're
the,
working right here with
a lot
the
of
sheet
things like in
probably,
the
you might be able to
Woodford,
get down
I
here,
can't
you got
vote
to
on
sit
it.
there and
Was
dip that
part
material
of-
out.
and that was the one thing.
Anyway,
Uh,
we should have that yet this
Okay,
week here.
that's fine. Yeah, we just have to. I'll get a copy. I'll submit it. Adam's the one that has to submit the permit.
Attorney,
So I just
he was
I'll have
talking to me and
I'll have Scott do it. And I'll have
I was like, I
a
can't
copy
vote
of
on
it.
this. He's like, well, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.